everyone! Welcome back to Story Hive. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Let's jump into today's story. I vanished after my cheating wife called me a loser and partied with a man I knew well. I'm a 57-year-old man, and I've been married to the woman who was the love of my life for 26 years. Let's call her Lucy. We were college friends and knew each other for a decade before getting married. During those 10 years, we spent 2 years as friends, a year of me pursuing her, and the remaining 7 years dating. There were even a few years of long distance in those 7 years when we lived in different cities for work reasons. Our relationship endured the challenge of time and distance. Lucy wasn't just my wife and the mother of my children. She was also my closest friend since college. She understood me like no one else. That's why her betrayal shattered me. About a week ago, Lucy and I attended our college reunion. Our college holds a reunion every year for the classes that graduated 35 years ago. It's a big event with singers and celebrities performing. Alumni eagerly anticipate it each year. This year, it was our class's turn to shine. We and our fellow classmates were excited to reconnect and see how we had all changed over the years. Lucy and I were particularly thrilled because we were one of the few college couples who had married and stayed together for so long. We walked into the event eager to show off our strong relationship. Little did I know that I was walking into a trap of my own making. We were having a wonderful time reconnecting with some of our dearest friends after many years. It felt like the best moments of our lives until someone approached us. Let's call him Rick. Rick had always been an admirer of Lucy, and everyone in our class was aware of his deep affection for her. Lucy was one of the brightest students in our class, and like any other attractive woman. Yes, I was one of them too. However, Rick was not the type to just flirt, to take a chance, and move on if the girl wasn't interested. He was the persistent type. He pursued Lucy throughout college and beyond. He didn't give up even though he knew she was dating and in love with me. I've always been a secure partner and didn't let his advances affect our relationship. Rick, along with everyone else, knew that Lucy was way out of his league, but he never stopped trying. I remember when Rick found out that Lucy had married me, he actually texted me and claimed that Lucy had made a mistake. He went on to say that he hoped I would care for her as much as he would have Lucy, and I simply laughed at his childishness and romantic notions. We hadn't heard from him or spoken to him since that day, until the day of the reunion when Rick approached us. We thought he would have moved on by now, considering it had been 35 years since college and 26 years since our marriage. However, to our surprise, he was still fixated on Lucy. He greeted all of us with hugs, and we reciprocated. However, Lucy opted to shake hands with him because his intense gaze made her uncomfortable. He took a seat across from Lucy and gave her an odd and intense stare. I couldn't help but ask if he had brought his family to the reunion party. He replied that he was single. He mentioned that he had been briefly married in his 40s but had gotten divorced. I expressed my sympathy, saying, "I'm sorry to hear that," to which he responded dramatically, "Well, yes, you should be sorry. You stole my love," followed by a burst of hysterical laughter. If I were in my 30s, I might have considered physically confronting him, but as we're approaching our 60s, besides, Rick isn't the intimidating type. He's more of a sleazy, loudmouth guy you wouldn't pick for sports. Even though everyone heard his joke, no one responded, and you could feel others becoming uncomfortable. So we mostly brushed it off. However, Lucy became noticeably quiet. Nancy is our close friend from college, took Lucy aside. We tried to lift her spirits, encouraging her to forget about the troublemaker and enjoy the rest of the evening. Knowing that Lucy tends to overthink things, we both attempted to ease her mind. Suddenly, Rick approached us out of the blue. I suspect he had been keeping an eye on us all along. To our surprise, he apologized, stating that he hadn't meant to upset her. Instead, he claimed he wanted to make her feel happy that despite the separation and the effects of aging on her appearance, she still had an admirer. I couldn't tolerate his cheesy words and told him to back off. He expressed genuine regret about causing discomfort. Lucy asked him to leave us alone, but he insisted that Lucy forgive him so we could enjoy the last gathering of our lives. Those words made me think it was time to put this behind us and move forward. That night was undoubtedly the final occasion for us to meet our old friends and classmates, so there was no point in dwelling on the past. Lucy hugged him and urged him to move on from her and let it go. We all hugged and headed to the dance floor to have fun at the party. Others joined us, and it turned into an enjoyable time. Later on, I noticed Nancy and Lucy talking to Rick, who was standing beside them. He was engaging in conversation and dancing in a comical manner, if that makes sense. I was relieved that this matter seemed to be resolved, and we could look back on it in a positive light. I kept an eye on them to ensure Lucy was okay. Rick was whispering something in her ear, and she smiled and nodded at him. I assumed it wasn't anything inappropriate, or else Lucy would have reacted differently. This gave me the green light to relax and enjoy myself with other friends and classmates. About an hour later, I noticed that Lucy and Nancy were nowhere to be seen. Initially, I didn't pay it much mind because we were all mingling separately. I too was catching up with other friends on my own. However, when they didn't reappear after some time, I began searching for them. I attempted to call them first, but they didn't answer. I realized the loud music might be drowning out the sound of their phones ringing. After roughly 30 minutes, Lucy returned, but something about her seemed off. There were no apparent changes in her appearance, but I had a distinct feeling that she was a different person. She became unusually quiet and kept urging me to leave. Nancy joined us shortly afterward, but Lucy and Nancy didn't exchange a single word throughout the night. I assumed they had argued about something because they avoided making eye contact. I repeatedly asked Lucy why she seemed irritated and wanted to leave early, but she remained silent. I wanted to stay until the end of the party, but Lucy insisted we leave early. Lucy remained silent throughout the entire journey back home, which lasted over an hour. I kept inquiring if she was okay, and she replied that she was just tired and needed rest. It left me feeling uneasy because she's usually the one brimming with energy, and seeing her upset without knowing the reason worried me. I asked if it had anything to do with Nancy, but she simply replied with a no, providing no further explanation. I assumed she was exhausted and left her alone. When we arrived home, while most of our friends were posting happy pictures of the evening and chatting on social media, expressing their joy at the reunion and lamenting the possibility that it might be the last, Lucy slipped into bed with her eyes closed. I suppose she wanted me to believe she was asleep. Why do I say that? It was almost 2 a.m. when I went to bed utterly tired. I fell asleep as soon as I hit the mattress. I'm not sure how long I had been asleep when Lucy woke me up. She was in tears, resting her head on my chest. I held her close and asked if she was feeling emotional about reuniting with her old friends, but she didn't respond. She simply continued crying. I held her tightly to show my support. Since she wasn't sharing what was troubling her, I allowed her to release her emotions, and when her tears finally stopped, she revealed something that left. She confessed that she had cheated on me with Rick. I was at a loss for words, unable to ask her anything further. I felt frozen in shock. Thoughts swirled in my mind about what might have transpired. The last time I saw Lucy, she was dancing with Rick and Nancy along with others. Then the three of them disappeared for about an hour. When Lucy returned, she wore a gloomy expression and insisted on leaving the party. She mentioned that Nancy was aware of the situation, but she was clearly furious with Lucy, which explained her upset demeanor. I was still unable to speak, so as she observed my stunned state, She began explaining everything on her own. She recounted how, while they were dancing, Rick kept apologizing to her for the embarrassment he had caused her, especially after she had rejected his advances numerous times. He showered her with praise, claiming that, in all his travels around the world, he had never encountered a woman as extraordinary as her. Lucy explained that she began to believe his compliments and fell for his apparent sincerity. He asked her if she would go for a walk with him. Initially she declined, but he persisted, insisting it would be their last encounter, and she deserved to know his true feelings for her. She wanted to hear what he had to say. The next morning Lucy tried to talk to me again, but I could barely look at her. I felt numb, unable to process the betrayal. I had always prided myself on being a loving and supportive partner, and now it felt like everything I had known and cherished was falling apart. Lucy tried to justify her actions, saying she felt overwhelmed by the reunion and Rick's relentless pursuit. She claimed it was a moment of weakness and that she deeply regretted it. She begged me to understand that it didn't mean she no longer loved me. But her words did little to ease the pain I felt. The trust we had built over 26 years had been shattered in an instant. I needed time and space to clear my head and figure out what to do next. I spent the entire day away from home, wandering aimlessly. I spoke to a few close friends and family members for support, but even their comforting words felt hollow. Everyone I talked to expressed their disbelief and offered their sympathy, but I was still grappling with the reality of Lucy's actions. I returned home that evening to find Lucy waiting for me, her eyes red and puffy from crying. She had prepared a heartfelt letter, apologizing again and pleading for a chance to rebuild our relationship. She wrote about the love we had shared over the years, the family we had built, and the dreams we had planned together. She promised to seek counseling and do whatever it took to make amends. Reading her letter was both painful and confusing. Part of me wanted to forgive her and try to work things out, while another part of me felt that the trust was irreparably broken. I knew that reconciliation would require a lot of time, effort, and emotional labor. I wasn't sure if I had the strength to go through that process, especially given how deeply I had been hurt. After several days of contemplation, I decided to seek professional help. I contacted a marriage counselor to get guidance on how to navigate this challenging situation. Lucy agreed to attend counseling sessions, with me hoping that it might help us understand each other better and address the underlying issues in our relationship. The process has been arduous. Each counseling session reveals new layers of pain and disappointment. We are learning to communicate more openly and honestly, but it's a slow and difficult journey. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired, and every step forward feels like a battle against lingering resentment and doubt. I'm still uncertain about the future of our marriage. Part of me wants to hold on to the hope that we can rebuild what we had, while another part fears that the damage is too great. For now, I'm focusing on healing myself and taking it one day at a time. The pain of betrayal is still fresh, and I'm trying to process everything while dealing with the complex emotions that come with it. I hope that in time I'll find clarity and be able to make a decision that is best for both of us. I just need to keep reminding myself that healing is a process and it's okay to take it one step at a time. As weeks passed, the counseling sessions became a routine part of our lives. They were emotionally exhausting but also enlightening. Lucy and I began to understand each other's perspectives more deeply, though it didn't erase the hurt. We worked on rebuilding communication and addressing the issues that led to the affair. One day Lucy came home with a small, thoughtful gift. It was a book about rebuilding trust and relationships. She had written a note inside expressing her commitment to our journey together and her desire to make things right. Her gesture, though well-intentioned, stirred up a mix of emotions within me. It was a reminder of the love we shared, but also of the significant obstacles we faced. Despite our efforts, I struggled with feelings of inadequacy and insecurity. I questioned whether I could truly trust Lucy again or if our relationship was forever altered. The process was fraught with moments of doubt and frustration. At times I wondered if we were making progress or simply going through the motions. Through it all, I've realized that forgiveness and healing are not linear. There are days when I feel hopeful and days when the pain feels overwhelming. Each step forward is accompanied by moments of reflection and uncertainty. The journey has taught me about resilience and the complexities of human emotions. We are learning to navigate our new reality, and while I can't predict the ultimate outcome, I'm committed to the process. I'm focusing on my own healing and growth, hoping that whatever the future holds, it will lead to a place of understanding and peace. Ultimately, our story is still unfolding. We are both working hard to mend what's been broken and to find a path forward, whether it's together or apart. For now, I'm taking things day by day, seeking clarity in the midst of the confusion and holding on to the hope that, in time, we'll find a resolution that brings us both the peace we're seeking. Thanks for tuning in to today's Reddit story. If you enjoyed it, please give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss out on more amazing stories. See you next time.